Good morning. My name is Gareth. You're watching the Hub Online Network, and this is going to be the Cache Creek Council Precap. We're going to go over what's going on in the agenda for tonight's meeting, which we're going to bring to you live on the Hub Online Network's Facebook page. So, let's get to it. All right. Now, this is just going to be a little new thing for everybody. So, what we're actually doing today as well is we're going to be bringing you guys a free lunch, essentially. Today is it's called Blue Monday, and is considered to be the most depressing day of the year. So, the Hub Online Network has partnered with BC's Problem and, oh my God, every time. BC Problem and Gambling Awareness Initiative, because they've given us money to do random acts of kindness. And Elizabeth Fry Society has doubled our budget to bring lunch from Sam's Restaurant today. So if you are hungry, we're handing out free Sam's burgers starting around 11:30. So that's in just over an hour. So come on down, grab a lunch, and we'll see you there. Now, let's get on to what's going on. So tonight's meeting starts at 6, again live on the Hub Online Network. And what is going on? Tonight, I am going to be a delegation. What am I going to be talking about? Well, just now that we're going to be going live, I just thought I would give the council, I'm going to be doing this in Ashcroft next week as well. I thought I'd give the council an update as to how last year kind of went, because we filmed a full year minus a few hit and misses over the course of the year. So we talk about how many people watched, et cetera, to show the engagement of the community, which has been awesome. Thank you all for watching and giving us feedback. So I'm doing that tonight. They're going to accept the minutes of the regular meeting from last time and the special meeting that they held last week. And then I'll get into what the special meeting was about specifically here in a few minutes. The Chief Administrative Officer, or Martin Dawson, has given a report which we will get into. Looks like there isn't going to be an economic development update or a budget and administration services update, but there will be a couple of policy and bylaw reviews, such as bylaw number 5-001, which is the Business Licensing Amendment of 2021, a bylaw to amend the Village of Cache Creek bylaw number 495, 1993, which is a bylaw governing licenses and regulations for carrying on business within the Village of Cache Creek. The council is to consider giving first reading to the Village of Cache Creek bylaw number 5-001. Now the recommendation for this, and the recommendations come from the CAO and the CFO, the recommendations are that council gives the reading to Village of Cache Creek bylaw number 5-001, the business license amendment. So then they're also going to be looking at bylaw number 6-001, which is a zoning amendment, which is a bylaw to amend the Village of Cache Creek zoning. And it is recommended that the council also give it the first reading. There's also going to be a thing about drinking water infrastructure in a grant, which is in a grant application. So the council is to consider supporting the Village of Cache Creek application to ICIP, CIVRIS, there's a lot of acronyms here. Program to a grant to protect the village drinking water infrastructure from flooding. So the recommendation for this is the council supports the application by the Village of Cache Creek to the ICIP program for the amount of $2,452,000 to complete the works listed below to protect the critical sole source Cache Creek drinking water infrastructure from flooding. So these points are raise the water treatment plant access road to above 200-year flood level, extend the casing and electrical of well PW number 7 to above the 200-year-old flow level, decommission the low-lying well, install a safe drinking water well above the 200-year flood level, install an emergency backup generator, discount the clear well gravity overflow to river piping, and complete a WTP flood failure evaluation and raise electrical as needed. If necessary, the council supports covering the cost of project overages. So that is the recommendation for that. Looks like there's going to be no report from Village Services and Liaison or Protective Services. And Intergovernmental Relations has a request for support. So the City of Nelson is requesting support for their initiative to have essential critical infrastructure. The recommendation for this is that the staff be directed to draft a letter to the Honorable Adrian Dix in support of the initiative of the City of Nelson to have essential critical infrastructure municipal employees included in the list of essential workers for the second priority group of the COVID-19 vaccine rollout. There's also a request for support for Bill C-123, which we'll get in a second here. And the recommendation is that the council sign the e-petition to support the PharmaCare Act. Or that they don't. They just receive and file. So those are some things that they can just play around with. Looks like there's no meeting, no report from the Landfill Advisory Committee, and that's going to be about it. Unless, also, if you have any questions, email them to me at honjournalist@ashcrofthub.com, and I would love to read your questions to them. As long as the questions pertain to the agenda, they will be answered, and we'll kind of go from there. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes of what's actually in these bylaws and stuff like that. So if you've never seen an agenda before, the agenda is broken down into what's happening today, and then it shows what happened at the last meeting, kind of gives the minutes so you can see what resolutions were come up with, what they did, how they did it, etc. And there's minutes in this package that goes to the previous meeting and the special meeting that they had in between. Now, unfortunately, we got confused here at the Hub Online Network, and we did not cover either of those two events, the special meeting being a shorter thing, which I'll talk about in a second. We figured we thought it was the new year. There was no new agenda up yet, so we missed it. But we're not going to miss any more. So anyway, let's get into, where are we here? Okay, so the special meeting was just, regular meeting, oh, hang on, I'm not quite there yet. Regular meeting. Here we go. Okay, so the special meeting, and it was to cover the Village of Cache Creek bylaw number 823, the Village of Cache Creek bylaw number 823, utility rates, which was, this was to give third reading to these bylaws, which was passed, and then subsequently thrown into a closed meeting, so it would have been a 5-minute meeting for public. Now into what's happening. So regular meeting status report. So this is a update from CAO Martin Dawson. So the Custom Canada Post stamp. So last year they were talking about the possibility of having their own Cache Creek stamp. So they were to look into a custom cancellation stamp for a post office, including graphic design and cost. That is still pending, even though that was from January 2020, but 2020 was a crazy year. The new well development grant status, it is in progress. The application has been submitted, so that is what we talked about previously. The footbridge lighting, council directed staff to install lighting for the footbridge and path across the Bonaparte River. It is in progress. First lights were vandalized. Really? That's interesting. The Bonaparte Indian Band meeting, which was in May. The Bonaparte Band would like to have a meeting with the village to discuss a possible protocol agreement. Council agrees that a meeting would be held once COVID-19 rules are relaxed enough to allow for a meeting. In June, Bonaparte Indian Band Administrator George Patel would review the current protocol agreement between the Village of Cache Creek and Bonaparte Indian Band for possible discussion between the councils. In July, Ashcroft Cache Creek Asset Management Collaboration. So the council committed $6,865 from its budget towards the cost of the FCM Municipal Asset Management Program for Ashcroft. That is pending grant approval at the moment. The Clean Renewable Energy Infrastructure Grants is pending. Correspondence between Member of Parliament Brad Viss and the Honourable Jonathan Wilkinson. So this is to Council directed staff to send a reply to the Honourable Jonathan Wilkinson, Federal Minister of Environment and Climate Change. That status is pending. November 9th, they did the Thompson-Nicola Regional District Invasive Plant Program. The program directed staff to invite TNRD staff to attend future council meetings to present regarding the invasive plant program. That status is in progress. An invitation has been sent. In November, quarterly billing for utility checks. Council directed staff to move forward with setting up quarterly billing for facilities, or utilities, sorry, that is in progress. Open letter to Premier John Horgan that Council approved Mayor Tallarico to sign the open letter to Premier John Horgan, but remove the second and third paragraphs. That is pending. In December, the correspondence from Mr. Tom Lewis of Cache Creek to send Mr. Lewis a response letter outlining the village's current initiatives in this regard. Now, I'm not sure what this regard is, but that is pending. Dawson Road maintenance is complete. Cannabis regulatory framework. So Council directed the CAO to follow up with consultant as follows. Determine if the business license fee for a publicly traded company can be set higher, and if so, determine if the business license, recommended such a rate for council consideration, and providing mapping that includes buffer zones which eliminate the visibility of cannabis business signs from schools and other facilities frequented by children and youth. All of this is in progress. There was an email from school trustee Carmen Ranta regarding medical cannabis. So the council directed that staff place the petition supplied by MP Brad Viss at the village office and advertise through the village social media accounts. That is complete. Ongoing and long-term items, park expansion, land use is pending. Well, there's a lot of stuff that they're working on. So that is essentially the things that they're working on in Cache Creek at the moment. The Village of Cache Creek bylaw. Okay, so here's getting into the bylaw stuff. So bylaw number 5-001, which is business licensing, is a bylaw to amend the Village Cache Creek bylaw 495, which was made in 1993. A bylaw governing license and regulatories for carrying on business within the Village of Cache Creek. The Municipal Council of the Village of Cache Creek is an open meeting assembled and enacts as follows. This bylaw may be edited by the Village of Cache Creek bylaw 5-001, business licensing amendment, a bylaw governing license and regulations. So, Division 1, definition as amended is hereby further amended by adding to the following. Cannabis production means a federally licensed business or service growing, cultivating, germinating, producing, storing, warehousing, or packaging any product or thing containing cannabis as defined by the Federal Cannabis Act. Farm means business dedicated to the growing, rearing, producing, or harvesting of agricultural crops. For bearing animals, poultry, or other livestock excluding cannabis and industrial hemp production, and includes the storage, sale, and processing of primary agricultural products harvested, reared for, or produced by the farming operation. The industrial hemp production means a federal licensed business or service growing, cultivating, germinating, producing, storing, warehousing, or packaging any product or thing containing hemp as defined by the Federal Industrial Hemp Regulations. Division 4. Regulations of business as amended is hereby further amended by adding the following. So 4.7, retail cannabis sale. Every person making application for a retail cannabis sale business license within the village must provide the following. A license to operate from the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch and any other documents required by the Chief Administrative Officer or their designate concerning building code issues such as fire prevention, discharges, security measures, and floor plans. Further amendments include cannabis production, industrial hemp production. So every person making application for a cannabis production or industrial hemp production business license within the village must provide the following. A license to operate from Health Canada, as this will be issued before they can apply for a business license with the village. A letter certified by a qualified professional that the applicant's mechanical ventilation system will prevent odors from leaving the building, and any other documents required by Chief Administrative Officer or their designate. Schedule A, business categories and fees payable for the licensing period as amended. So, item 10, manufacturing plant. The fee payable from every person carrying on the principal business of manufacturing a product or thing, including food and beverage products, from unfinished or raw materials is as follows. Pulp mill, refinery, central plant, sawmill, and other processing and manufacturing plants is $400. And replacing it with manufacturing. So the fee payable from every person carrying on the principal business of manufacturing a product or thing. So this would be a pulp mill, refinery, cement plant, sawmill, farm, and other processings will be 400, but cannabis and industrial hemp productions would be 460. So that is going to be given first reading tonight. So essentially, they'll be raising the cost of having a cannabis plant from 400 to 460 just in Cache Creek. Now, tomorrow we're going to be talking with Carmen Ranta, who has a little bit of insight as to what's going on with some of this stuff. And so stay tuned for that tomorrow. What else is going on? So they're also looking at bylaw 6001, which is the zoning amendment. And essentially, this is talking about, let me find it here. This is all in regards to the sale of cannabis. So cannabis means a cannabis plant and anything referred to in section 1. So the retail of cannabis sales means a provincially licensed public or private business that sells cannabis but excludes the sale of cannabis for medical purposes, where the sale is made in accordance with the federal access to cannabis. Cannabis production facility means a federally licensed business or service growing, cultivating, germinating, producing, storing, warehousing, or packing up any product that contains cannabis or hemp. Industrial hemp means cannabis plants and plant parts for any variety that contains 0.3 THC or less in the leaves and following heads of defined by the industrial hemp regulations. I don't know very much about cannabis, so I'm learning a lot here, so bear with me. So what they're changing is, they're just defining a bunch of stuff. So agricultural use, for example, the growing, rearing, producing, harvesting of cannabis. And where is it what they're going to change here? So no cannabis production facility or industrial hemp production facility except for those developed in land designated as ALR or zoned AR1 shall be located within 50 meters from any school, park, or community as measured from the property. A cannabis production facility or industrial hemp production facility must meet all other applicable municipal, provincial, and federal guidelines. General and highway commercial permitted uses as amended. Light industrial, general industrial permitted use as amended, hereby further amended by adding the following: cannabis production facilities subject to section 4.12. Okay, so they're setting up all the things that they have to have in order to have a cannabis business put into Cache Creek. So if you had filled out that particular survey and you have a strong feeling about any of this, let me know. Give me an email, honjournalist@ashcrofthub.com. And we will love to hear from you. And again, we're doing a story on this particular thing tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. All right, so investing in Canada's infrastructure program, COVID-19 Resilience Infrastructure Stream. So this is the Adaptation, Resilience, and Disaster Mitigation Program application form. So this is for the village of Cache Creek. Please complete and what is this for? I don't remember. Municipality. So this is just the application for the $2,452,000 for the water. So that is the application form. This is the letter that they received from Nelson for the vaccination priority for essential critical infrastructure municipal employees that they're possibly going to be saying yes to give their support. And this is the letter from, who is it here? Can't remember who this was for. This is the other letter that they received. And that's it. That's all that's in the agenda today. So, again, if any of that interests you, follow us tonight at 6 p.m. We're going to be going live from Cache Creek. So if you have questions, again, HONjournalist@ashcrofthub.com. And if today to you is the most depressing day, come on down to Sam's Burgers in Ashcroft. Get yourself a burger. We're going to be handing them out, again, starting at 11:30, probably until 4 or 5. I'm not sure how many burgers we're actually going to be able to give out for $1,000, but hopefully it's going to be a lot. And hopefully you all come down and get yours. And we will see you all there. Thank you all very much for watching. Have yourself a great day if we don't see you at Sam's. And yeah, I'll be back tomorrow with a recap as well as all the stories about the cannabis that I promised. So a recap of the council meeting, and we'll go from there.